Troll is a Norwegian-American monster film directed by Roar Uthaug, which he co-wrote with Espen Okun. Yes, I'm going to butcher some of these names, and it stars In Marie Wilman, Mads Petersen, Gard B. Eldsvord, Kim S. Falk Jorgensen, and a range of other people, which I'm going to stop butchering the names of because... yes, sorry, I butchered those names. This film is absolutely fantastic. I had such a good time with this film. Now, this is a Kaiju film, basically. Now, I know a lot of people will be thinking, wait, hold on. Is this a sequel to Troll Hunter, that incredible film? No, sadly not. Which, if this was a sequel to Troll Hunter, would it have made it better? No, not really. It would be interesting, but it wouldn't make it better. This film aired on Netflix today. And I'm remiss that it wasn't in theatres. I would have loved to watch this in theatres. This is one of the better, I'm not going to say best, but one of the better Netflix films I've seen in a very long time. It has an hour and 40-minute runtime, and it moves along at a very brisk pace. I'm sure even hearing that runtime will make you go, sorry, what? This is a Netflix film? Because they are renowned for awful runtimes, pacing problems, huge editing problems, and it just bogs it down. Now, let's get to the meat of what this film was about. Obviously, it's about a troll. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen a large chunk of the movie, and they don't hold back. This film centres around I guess, father-daughter duo in Tideman, the Tidemans, Tobias Tideman. And essentially, a troll wakes up, and Tideman is brought in because she's an archaeologist, and she brings in her father because he is a mythological expert. Thought to be crazy, but we'll get to that later in the review because that pops up later on with a conspiracy theory. Basically, yeah, a troll wakes up. They're looking to tunnel through a mountain, and a troll wakes up. It starts wreaking havoc, and it's heading towards Oslo. Why is it heading towards Oslo? We don't know. But the Prime Minister of Norway is trying everything they can to muster the sort of munitions power to stop this troll. Big military forces, and what's this? An untested missile, where they're basically just going to flatten Oslo. Smart thinking. But Tideman is there to save the day, and essentially figures out that the fairy tales are true, and so on and so forth. Things happen, and I don't want to reveal too much. I had a very good time with this film. This film, and I'm sort of speaking hyperbolically here, I guess, I'd say it has actually a vastly better CGI than a lot of the Marvel films of late. Now, I'm not going to say the CGI itself is better, but the colour grading is better, and the choices for rendering the CGI for colour comparisons are better. Now, CGI, when you've got bombastic colours, really stands out, and it really looks uncanny valley. Because this troll is made of stone and earth and is very grey, it blends really nicely in with the surroundings. But this is a creative choice, and they've done very well. The CGI itself, this is a big action spectacle with buildings flying everywhere, massive footprints, huge rubble throwing everywhere, and it really is quite believable. I don't know whether it would hold up on a big screen or not, but in terms of my sort of uncanny valley radar going off, no, this was really, really well done. This looked great. Now, this film's quite self-aware of what it is, and there is a shot in the trailer which I'll sort of replicate here on the screen now, which looks very reminiscent to Kong Skull Island, where the helicopters sort of circling Kong, and I don't know whether this was on purpose or not, and I don't know whether it would matter whether it's done on purpose or not, because in this film it's wholly separate. Although this film is very self-aware, and there's even news sort of presenters saying, is this the Norway's Godzilla and all this kind of stuff. It's not like it's not referencing things too much in a way where you're like, oh yeah, this is whatever. The Kong reference, if it is a reference itself, works very, very well. Very, very, very well, in fact. And it's funny. This film is actually funny. It's well acted. It's got really quite good effects, and I don't mean just from, you know, our CGI, our visual effects, but the overall set design. You know, we've got really good use of military weapons. We've got really good framing. Really, really, really good framing. The cinematography on this is great. Standout. Now, look, by no means am I going to say that this is going to win Oscars. Of course not. No, this film really does know what it is, and that's what I mean by it being very, very self-aware. It knows exactly what it is, and it works in that wheelhouse perfectly. It's not going to win any Oscars, but it is a very entertaining film. And I would love to see a sequel. I would love to see more films like this. Absolutely, unequivocally, would love to see more films like this. And I really, really liked how they dived into the fairy tale mythological aspect of what a troll is, and how, you know, the sort of fairy tale songs and folklore tales and things like that have an air of, well, no, semblance of reality. And I liked that a lot. I thought that worked really, really, really well. And I even enjoyed just the whole aspect of, you know, up until X, Y, and Z time, it was thought to be good luck to build your palace on top of someone else's palace and all this kind of stuff. Really, really smart. The way they sort of interweave historical aspects, fairy tale and folklore all into one is a very, very smart film. It's just a smart film, and it works really, really well. I'd like to see more films like this. I don't know if we will, but I think this film will do very, very well on Netflix. And it's such a shame this was not released in theatres. I would have paid good money to watch this in theatres, and I think it would have looked great. I genuinely think this film would have looked great on the big screen. The music was absolutely brilliant, and it really adds, you know, when a score becomes another character because of the emotional pang it puts on, you know, the viewer, that's when you know you've nailed the score. And this score was brilliant. You know, there are moments where I was like, oh my god, like I'm actually getting quite sad watching this. You know, oh my god, god, yes, let's go. Like, I'm rooting for it because the music is so well timed, so well composed, very, very well done on the score. Now, in terms of what tropes, you know, this film is not without its tropes. This film, you would have seen elements of this film before in other films. You know, we've seen parts of this story before, but it doesn't need to be its own little thing. You know, it can do what it's doing very, very well and be its own thing as a result of pulling from other elements that we've seen before, but crafting a new story, which, unlike we have actually seen before. I mean, you know, blending folklore, fairy tale, and be like, oh yeah, trolls actually just, you know, erupted from the mountaintop. You're like, okay, yeah, I can see this. And it's so self-aware. There's even an element where they start talking about climate change and gas pockets, and you're like, oh my god, should we call Greta? I like a subtle Greta dig. It's funny. Very, very funny. So I can strongly recommend this film. I had a very, very good time with it. I don't want to reveal any spoilers, but it's sad, it's uplifting, it's a great film. Genuinely a great film. You know, if you're sort of one of these people that wants a Godzilla film and the Monsterverse to continue and things like that, watch this. In the interim, it'll tide you over quite nicely.